Uh, do you I say micromanage because we have to be aware, and it's our job as parents to raise the kids. But sometimes, especially as they get older, we can worry a little too much as far as their safety goes. Sometimes we've made stories lately. This goes way over. Mom going onto the job interview with someone. It's helicopter parenting, is what it's called. It's hovering over the kids, making sure their life is smooth, making sure when in fact adversity is what develops character. Instead of teaching them how to deal with that, we hover over them. Helicopter parenting is, I think, overall a bad thing. Dr. John Braccio, Regional Psychological Services, joins us now to talk about this here, as we do every Tuesday morning. A little free help from the doc. Good morning, Dr. Braccio.
Well, good morning to you, Mike, and I think a good introduction. Helicopter parenting, briefly defined, is when a parent becomes overprotective and involved in every aspect of their child's life. My point is not that being involved with your child and trying to make sure they can be as successful as possible, both emotionally and physically, is bad. No, to the contrary. That's what good parenting is all about. But the problem, Mike, is that helicopter parenting does not allow children to grow, develop their own personalities, dealing with the ups and downs that life throws at each of us. And as you mentioned, adversity is part of what life is. We have to learn to cope with issues. And effective parents, they have guardrails to make sure their child does not stray into dangerous and inappropriate activities for their age. They function as loving advisors to help them through difficult situations, but to not take over for them. Sadly, even when with the best of loving intentions, helicopter parents can negatively develop dependency, low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, and poor interpersonal communication skills in the children they love so dearly and do not want to be hurt emotionally or physically. Typical behaviors of helicopter parents would include the following: completing homework, assignments, and projects. I think we see this quite a bit, actually.
Wow.
Calling the school and other parents over minor problems their children are having, and putting all the blame on others. Micromanaging, you mentioned this, micromanaging all aspects of the lives of their children. Excessive control, demand for total acquiescence or obedience, involvement in even minor activities like the flavor of ice cream to eat. And don't think that doesn't happen, Mike. I run into that. I mean, for some reason, vanilla seems to be the one. But I just kids will say, well, I can only have vanilla ice cream. I say, oh, well, but that's things can micromanage even to that point. Total control over friendships. Okay, I think keeping an eye on who the kids are with is really important. But trying to do that's another thing that happens. You can't be with this person. You can't do that. You will not allow different thoughts and opinions from their own. Will not allow a child to flourish as a free-thinking person. Excessive social media tracking. I mean, you certainly want to track what the child's doing, but not to get to the point that you're just kind of ruling over every little thing, particularly with a child that really shows no tendency to be doing inappropriate things. Excessive anxiety and fear that something terrible will happen to their children, even if it's unlikely, as a plane falling out of the sky and killing them. You always want to have them get an eye on them. Trying to not allow their children to make mistakes, trying to protect them from everything. And the most important thing here is little or no insight into the inappropriateness of their behaviors and the emotional harm it can cause their children. And Mike, I've seen a lot of this over the years, and when you get a parent who just wants to control everything, trying to make sure the child has no hurts, intervening in any conflicts or problems they might have with persons their own age, or not getting along with teachers, when there's really no reason other than they just have to learn how to behave. It can cause a lot of conflict, and this can lead to, like I mentioned, anxiety, depression, just poor self-esteem, inability to make decisions on their own. So they can really cause a lot of trouble in spite of the good will that they have in terms of trying to help the child.
I get it. You know, we all know parenting. I was just saying it yesterday to my daughter. Parenting is tough. And you're going to know it one of these days. I'm saying it's funny. I'm saying the exact same stuff my parents said to me. And
Yes.
if you had good parents, you don't appreciate them until you become one, usually.
Yes.
But what I said was, you have to make your choice. She's going through a thing of a different career path right now,
Okay.
and having made some decisions and then finding out maybe I'm going somewhere else. I said, "Hon, I can't tell you what you need to be in life. I can tell you what I see in your qualities, and I can advise you in my experience, but it's up to you, and that's hard." And life is hard. So, yeah. And we've said that, I have to say, my wife is a saint.
Oh my goodness.
I told her the other day because she was worried about one of the kids. Our kids are like in their early 20s now, right?
Sure.
Well, our oldest is 33, but the youngest one going through some, trying to figure things out. And I said to my wife, because she was lamenting, Doc, I said to her, I said, at some point, you got to trust how we raised them. That's a big
Yes.
deal.
Well, that is true. I think we always care, Mike, and we always try, if asked, to give good advice. The danger is we don't want to be in the middle of trying to make their decisions, but we've raised them correctly. That's really true. Now, even with young kids, that would be true. We try to give good advice. We try to do the right things, and when we want to launch our children, we don't want to have them be dependent on us. So when there is confusion or difficulty, it's good that children are willing to talk. Now, back on your wife being safe, the fact that your daughter at this time will say that she's trying to focus on what she wants. The fact that she will talk to both of you and that you both can be involved in the communications, that is a positive. Sounds like you have been involved in parenting and you're not just taking control. Like, okay, sit down. These are the 4 things you ought to be doing right now. Do this now, do this tomorrow, do this next month, do this next year. No, that really doesn't work. You give advice, you try to be the caring, loving parent. That's really the role. And your point, it's a good point too, that when they're launched, okay, that's we've done our job. That doesn't mean we forget them. That just means that we want to enjoy them more. And if they run into difficulties, we always want to be involved in helping, as they will hopefully help us as their adults. That's part of the process of good parenting leads to good relationships overall with our children, hopefully. So that's kind of the goal. But if we try to control everything and try to be negative, and we don't think we're negative, but even controlling friends, but even ice cream. I think that example.
Ice cream, that kills me. That just kills me.
Mike, I just ran into that. A child that can only have, this is a 13-year-old, and only lets them have vanilla. Now, I'm not sure what happens when they're not with them. I do still may get that.
Oh.
They may get that, the chocolate with peanut butter or something when the parent isn't there. But the idea is you can only have vanilla. The others aren't healthy for you. Well, people do things, but controlling. But you will run into people that have low self-esteem, or they have a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety, and they come from homes. They can come from homes where the parents have all the best intentions in the world, but they controlled everything, and it got to the point where they really aren't able to effectively deal with change and deal with crisis, and they'll often end up getting into relationships with another controlling person. So they can lead a whole lifetime where they are not able to flourish. And I think our job as parents is to put the guardrails on, give advice, give ideas, and there are always going to be difficulties, and personalities are all different. The kids are not all going to be the same as their parents. That's different makeups. There's all kinds of factors in life other than the parents. But the point is, the parents want to be the guides, people that are helping. But boy, there's a lot of miscommunication and not working well when parents try to control everything. When parents do try to control everything, that can lead to rebellion, lead to real bad future relationships too. So the best thing to do is, like you say, your wife is a saint. I like that.
I don't know if I want to say that to her face. I don't want to give her a complex. I gotta hold back on that a little bit, Doc. But Dr. John Braccio, Regional Psychological Services, as always. It's a pleasure having you on, and we'll chat again next week.
Okay, my friend. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Thanks. See ya. 1320 WILS.